What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a video where we will talk about a massive news that Liverpool and Liverpool owners are proposing huge changes to how the Premier League and the English football works, and this comes from the Liverpool ownership group FSG. And let me know what do you think about this. In this video we will talk in detail about what the proposal actually is, and some of it is actually good and some of it is designed to help lower league clubs, but also other parts of the proposal I don't really like, and I think it's a power grab move in the middle of a pandemic to take advantage of a precarious situation that the lower league clubs find themselves in. And I don't really like this part of football, I will be honest, that FSG owners are venture capitalists, they are hedge funds managers, and their sole main aim is to generate as much money, as much profit. And football, and especially football clubs, should be about the fans, about the community first, and then about profit. But nowadays the Premier League is a huge business, and you will see these kind of things happen more and more often, I think. But I want you guys to form your own opinions. So first let's listen to the proposals and then I will give my opinion on it. But just briefly, the moves that basically would give the top 6 clubs the voting rights, even though it would benefit my favorite club, Liverpool. I don't like other clubs who have a rich history and tradition, clubs like Everton, Aston Villa, Leeds United and others, Newcastle United, Leicester City and others, who basically have no voting rights in the Premier League. I don't feel comfortable with that. But now let's actually talk about it. So the proposal to change the voting structure of the Premier League as well as funding models for the English Football League and football associations has been drawn up by Liverpool's owners themselves, and also it is backed by Manchester United, but Manchester United also are owned by American hedge fund managers, venture capitalists. The proposal is called Project Big Picture, and it includes several major changes, and here are the changes. The Premier League will be reduced to 18 clubs, which I don't really like. It will be similar to the Bundesliga, but I think a 20 club Premier League is fine. No EFL Cup or Community Shield, so they would scrap the League Cup completely and also scrap the Community Shield. What I would do is make the League Cup for only clubs who don't qualify for Europe. So the top 6 or the top 7 or whoever many teams qualify for Europe, the next season they are not competing in the League Cup, and then that would mean that maybe winning the League Cup doesn't qualify you for Europe, but it would give a major trophy to one of the smaller clubs, if you like. And also the Community Shield, it's a one-off game. I don't think that there is any need to scrap that. The no League Cup is enough for me for the big clubs. Also, this is very concerning. Special status for 9 longest serving clubs. The big 6 clubs, you know who they are, plus Everton, West Ham and Southampton. But what about other huge clubs and historic clubs like Leeds United, Aston Villa, Newcastle United? I don't like this, that there will be only 9 clubs who will have special rights in the Premier League. And this is the next part is what I absolutely hate. Only 6 of the 9 longest serving clubs need to vote for major change. Are you serious? Only the top 6 can implement major changes in the Premier League, which affect everybody. How is that fair to all the other clubs? And I'm saying that as a Liverpool fan. This is the one that really concerns me. This is basically an attempt to make the top 6 clubs, who are already the richest clubs in the Premier League, the most powerful clubs in the Premier League, to make them even more rich and even more powerful. And it would tilt the balance so far to their favor, towards their favor, that basically no clubs would have any chance of having a miracle story like Leicester City winning the Premier League. How amazing was that story? The top 6 clubs don't want to see that ever happen again, I'm sure. Or like Leicester City even getting into almost the Champions League, but in the Europa League. Wolves getting into the Europa League last season. I don't like this at all. The next change I really like, £250 million immediate compensation for all the lower division clubs in the English Football League, the professional league, so the Championship, League 1 and League 2 clubs would get 250 million immediate compensation. And do you already see what the Liverpool owners are trying to do? They basically want to grab onto more power, but also they sprinkle into, of course, changes that would benefit all the lower league clubs. And that is a really, really shady move, in my opinion. This would actually be a COVID financial bailout, essentially. Also, another interesting change, club who finishes 16th in the Premier League, so the last club to get relegated, it would replace the 6th place Championship club, and basically it would take part in the EFL playoff. So essentially, the last two clubs who finish bottom and second to bottom will 100% get relegated, and then the next club who finishes third from bottom, they would be in the English Football League playoffs, the Championship playoffs. I kind of like this idea, but what I would do is make the Championship playoffs as it is, and then whoever wins the Championship playoff final plays the last Premier League club who finishes in the playoff place, and that is going to be a final in the end. The next change is also very good, I think. Premier League to commit 25% of all future revenue of the Premier League to the English Football League. I think this should have been done earlier and much more often, especially in these times. I think the Premier League should really help out the English Football League, because it just doesn't feel right that in the middle of a global pandemic, in the middle of a financial crisis in football, Premier League clubs could still find 1.2 billion pounds to spend on players, and guess what? 250 million pounds of those went to the pockets of a football agent. 250 million pounds was pocketed by football agents from Premier League transfers, when English Football League clubs are really struggling in the Championship, and especially in League 1 and League 2. There are stories of Bury and Bolton and other clubs really struggling at the bottom of the professional English Football League. And it just doesn't feel right, does it? When football agents can pocket 250 million and other clubs are struggling in the football pyramid. It just feels wrong, in my opinion. And the Sky Sports are reporting that initial talks already between Liverpool, Man United and the other big six clubs, Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal and Chelsea, have already taken place, with hope that an agreement can be reached. But what about the other clubs? Why are there no talks with the other clubs? The Premier League is not just the top six, and I would hate to see this where football seems to be going towards a European Super League. I don't want that to happen. I want Liverpool to play against teams like Aston Villa, where Liverpool can actually lose and struggle in some games. And this is what makes football fun, in my opinion. We don't want just the big clubs playing against each other and then the smaller clubs playing among themselves. And they would really go bankrupt, many of them, if that would happen, in my opinion. And listen to this, the reform plan. This plan was drawn up by Liverpool owners Fanzone Sports Group, and this was started in 2017, so 3 years ago, and is seen as a radical change to football governance. It has been accelerated by the pandemic due to the financial situation that the lower league clubs find themselves in. And yes, one of the most appealing parts for some EFL clubs may be the 25% of all combined Premier League and EFL revenues going to them, with an advance of up to 250 million pounds being made available early to help the pandemic. But the proposed changes would put the majority of the power into the hands of the biggest clubs, ending the vision's current one club, one vote system. And that's fair, that's democracy. Every club gets a vote. That's how it should be, and that's how it has been so far. So why change it? I tell you why. Because the Liverpool owners want more money, they want more power, they want to change the Premier League to a league where Liverpool can pocket more of the huge revenue that the Premier League generates. The plan calls for the 9 clubs with the longest continued presence in the league to be given a long-term shareholder status and the ability to make changes with the support of just the top 6 clubs of the 9. And yes, EFL chairman Rick Perry, who was a former Liverpool chief executive, has strongly backed the plan, saying it resolves many of the issues currently facing EFL clubs. And yes, from the EFL clubs' point of view, they don't really care about the Premier League being basically controlled by only the top 6, because they get a huge part of the Premier League revenue. 25% is a huge part, because the Premier League generates so much money. But you can't forget, EFL chairman Rick Perry was a former Liverpool chief executive, and this is why it doesn't feel right that a former Liverpool executive is backing the proposal made by the Liverpool owners, the current Liverpool owners. This is what he said. This is a proposal to reset the long-term future of the English pyramid. This would produce long-term sustainability for all of our clubs. It would narrow the gap between the Championship and the Premier League. It would abolish parachute payments, which create a major imbalance within the Championship. Plus, there's a short-term package of immediate relief. It probably is the biggest idea since the formation of the Premier League in terms of rebalancing the game, providing fairer shares for all, securing the financial future of the pyramid. For us, it's extremely attractive. We shall see in the coming days. I genuinely believe it's in their very best interests. I've had the chance to talk to a limited number of them today, and they have been extremely receptive of the plan, of the idea. The Premier League said, on the other hand, it was disappointed by Rick Perry's public support for the plans. And this is what the Premier League said in its statement, and I think this is very interesting. English football is the world's most watched league and has a vibrant, dynamic and competitive league structure that drives interest around the globe. To maintain this position, it's important that we all work together. Both the Premier League and the FA support a wide-ranging discussion on the future of the game, including its competition, resource structures, calendar and overall financing, particularly in light of the effects of COVID-19. Football has many stakeholders, therefore this work should be carried out through the proper channels, enabling all clubs and stakeholders the opportunity to contribute. And I fully agree with this. By the way, I just want to insert this here. All clubs in the current Premier League and also in the Championship should be probably discussing this matter. Not just the top 6 or the top 9 or whatever, how many clubs they want to include in that. How can you leave out clubs like Newcastle United, who have been in the Premier League almost all of the time, or other clubs like Aston Villa, like Leeds United, who have a huge history, huge fan base, huge heritage in English football, and they will have no say in the major changes in the Premier League. I have no desire to support this plan, even though it comes from the Liverpool owners. I will call them out when they do something that doesn't feel right to me as a football fan, as a Liverpool fan of supporting this great club for 20 years. Liverpool FC shouldn't be just a business. It shouldn't be just about generating the most money. Yes, it's important, but it should be also about community, about what's right for the fans, what's right for the league. We want to see a competitive Premier League, not only dominated by the top 6, but we want to see crazy stories like Wolves getting into the Champions League, Leicester City getting into the Champions League maybe, other clubs, Everton could get into the Champions League this year. We want to see those stories. We don't want just the top 6 to divide the top 6 positions between themselves and that's it. The rest of the league just fights for 7th place. That doesn't really feel like sport to me, true in the purest sense. And that's what the Premier League should be about. In the Premier League's view, the statement continues, a number of the individual proposals in the plan published today could have a damaging impact on the whole game, and we are disappointed to see that Rick Perry, chairman of the EFL, has given his on-the-record support in public. The Premier League has been working in good faith with its clubs and the English Football League to seek a resolution to the requirement for COVID rescue funding. This work will continue. And also the Department for Digital, Cultural, Media and Sport released a statement criticizing the proposals, and basically they are accusing the Premier League's biggest sides of trying to create a closed shop. And it is exactly my opinion as well. This was their statement. We are surprised and disappointed that at a time of crisis, when we have urged the top tiers of professional football to come together, finalize a deal to help lower league clubs, there appear to be backroom deals being cooked up that would create a closed shop at the very top of the game. Sustainability, integrity and fair competition are absolutely paramount, and anything that may undermine them is deeply troubling. Fans must be front of all our minds, and this shows why our fan-led review of football governance will be so critical. And Rick Perry actually hit back at this statement, saying there is no backdoor, these proposals are entirely transparent. The DCMS haven't seen them yet, so what they are commenting on, I can only speculate. Maybe they should have come up with a more measured view, which will take the time to explain the proposals, and I have every confidence that when they see them, they will actually see the merits. Rushing out ill-considered statements, I don't think this is terribly helpful. But then why didn't you sit down with the proper people to discuss this before making the announcement that you are planning to do this? That's my question then, because that would ease the confusion, the many upset people, and this will just make Liverpool even more hated among football fans around England and around Great Britain, and I don't like to see that happen. We already have a few haters because of how we won the Champions League and the Premier League, and because basically how Liverpool fans gloated about winning the Premier League title for the first time in 30 years, which is quite understandable. Of course, some Liverpool fans always go a little bit over the top, but this proposal, I mean the parts of it which would basically give more control and more power to the top clubs, the top 6 clubs, then right now, especially this part of the proposal will make Liverpool even more hated among football fans. And I'm actually, after making this video, I will sit down and read the Liverpool forums and what they are saying. I already read the Reddit Liverpool forum, and the people saying there that this will never go through, and it shouldn't be a surprise that Liverpool owners are proposing this, because they are hedge funds managers, venture capitalists whose sole aim is to make as much profit as possible. Remember that these are bankers, hedge fund managers, not proper football people, not football fans, definitely. They didn't know anything about football before buying Liverpool, so we should take that into account, and that's why they shouldn't make these big decisions. All 20 Premier League clubs should make these decisions in union, and every single club should have a vote in major changes to the Premier League's structure and money distribution and all those kind of things. That's my opinion, but let me know what is your opinion in the comments below, and thanks for watching, guys. I really hope that you found this video helpful, informative, useful to you, and entertaining as well. That's my aim for these videos. Have a nice day. See you later, guys. Goodbye.